CSS Combinators, and this is the most important topic that you should understand, and it's a very small one. When you look at different style sheets provided by different templates and themes, and even if you look at something like Bootstrap or Tailwind CSS, there is a certain style and pattern of defining their classes and how they have declared their classes to cover elements one inside the other or one next to the other. Let's get to understand that. Now, if you look at this document, I've just given a background color and some padding to the body, and I have not given any styling to all these randomly populated items. I'm going to zoom that in a little bit, and as you can see, first of all, I have created three divs, out of which I've set a class name to two divs, and one div I'm not set any class name at all. So for accommodation basis, I am going to use a class name over here, and I'm going to call it parent 0. So we have parent 0, parent 1, and parent 2 as three divs. And the first div has some text inside it, a paragraph inside it, and a child of the paragraph is a bold element inside of it. So remember this tree structure we have over here, parent, child, and child of child. In case of the second div, we have a parent div, a child inside of it, which is a paragraph, and a second child, which is a div. In this case, this div inside and this paragraph are siblings of each other. Exactly the same way how this div, this div, and this div, all three divs are siblings of each other, and their parent is the body tag, that is the document itself. In the third case, in the third div, you can see it has got three children. So you have a span, you have a paragraph, and a div who are siblings of each other. And I'm going to explain different combinators using these divs. So the very first div we have is a parent div, parent 0, and let's set a style for that. So I'm going to take a parent 0. And let's set it some background color first. And let's give it a background color of yellow and some padding. Since we have a good padding, now I want to set some style to the content inside of it. Let's say I want to set a style to its child that is a P element. So I want to set a style only to the child that is a P element inside. I can do this parent 0 greater than sign and P. This indicates that the P element is a child of this class parent 0, and I can place whatever styling I want. I could give a different background color, for instance. I can use uh, green, green yellow, and you see it has taken up slightly different color. So let's zoom that in. Yeah, and you can see it has taken up a different color. Now, this is known as child selector, which allows you to select a child of a given selector, that is a class or a tag or an ID or any other type of selector you have used. Similar to child selector, we also have descendant selector. Now I can also set a style as P greater than sign and P element to set this bold text, some background color which we want, or set a different color to the text inside of it. Or else I can use the simple parent 0, and without having any greater than sign or anything, I just introduce one single white space and I type in the name of the uh, tag, which is B. And after typing in the tag of B element, I'm going to give some styling to it. Let's say color, and this time I'm going to set a color brown. And you can see the change has occurred over here to this B element, which is inside the paragraph. It is not a direct child of the div, but it's a grandchild of the div. And if I try to use the child selector, it won't work because this will work only if the case is that B is the immediate child of the div. To test this out, I'm going to change this heading into a B element. And you see that works. That is because in this particular setting, it is looking for a child which belongs to the parent. So if I remove this, it is going to look for descendant. By descendant, it means it could be a child, child of child, child of child of child, or several generations below. This is a beautiful setting to look at, and in this case, it has also allowed it to select the first child, which is a B element, and it has also applied the same style to the element that is occurring inside another child of the same parent element. That's about their descendants and child selectors. Now we are going to look at a different style. So let's give more styling to parent 0 and parent 1. I'm going to copy parent 0 and set the style to parent1 with a slightly different color. This time I'm going to use blue and I'm going to give text color as white. So we have a visible looking item. So the second div is a dark blue color and it has a white color text inside of it. And let's look at the second element, that is the parent div, parent1 div, inside of which we have a p-type element, which is paragraph, which is another paragraph. And right after that, we have another div. Now, what if I only want to select certain adjacent divs, okay, which is known as adjacent sibling selector. And to do that, I'm going to set a special class to this particular paragraph, and let's call it a myp or myp1. Okay, or let's give it a simpler name. Let's say para1, and we use this parameter style to declare our CSS control with a sibling selector. So let's say I give para1 plus div, and I write some background color to it. Let's give it a background color which would be black, and also let's add some padding to it, which would be, let's say, 10 pixels. And immediately you see the style has been set to para1 plus div, which means the style has been set to its sibling. So the any particular selector, let's say in this case the selector was a class selector of this paragraph, its sibling, whichever sibling of it is a div, will be converted into a background black. I could try this by introducing another div at top of that particular paragraph. This is before para1. And you see, it is not affected because your selectors are going to move in a forward direction and they will look for the sibling that is right after this particular item. So let's say I want to do the same thing again and I'm going to try it out with a different type of selector. So first of all, in the third div, that is parent2 or parent2, I'm going to first give it a style of its own. Let's call it parent2 and let's give it a background color which is slightly different, and let's make the color black again. Finally, I'm going to create another style, para2. Let's also apply this paragraph to class inside of this paragraph. Let's start declaring a style. So before we start declaring anything, I wish to allow this selector, that is a general sibling selector. So I'm going to select another general sibling, which could be div, and let's give it a background color, which is much darker, and let's give it some text color, which is bright. And you see, it has selected a div, which is right after that. If I try to add another div above it, it also is not affected, meaning it is going to only select divs or options which are available after that. Now you must be wondering what exactly is the difference between a general sibling selector and an adjacent sibling selector, because in both cases it is selecting the next element that's available in the forward. There's a very simple difference. When you have got a adjacent sibling selector, it is going to apply only to one sibling. So for example, in case of the general sibling selector, that is para and the wave sign, and then we have the div, you can basically add one more div at the end, and you see the exact style has been applied to it. Similar case, if I try to apply one more div to the adjacent sibling selector, this style is not repeated. It is not getting a black background over here, which we have applied in case of the uh, sibling selector, the adjacent sibling selector. But in case of the general sibling selector, we have easily applied the style to all the siblings that occur with the exact same tag or class name. So please remember, I have used an example of divs over here. You can also apply any other element, and you can, instead of using the tag as the child or the sibling, you can give the reference of its class or ID or attribute also.